Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the recycling program in CBRM. I'm going to give you a little bit of overview of how recycling started to take place in CBRM and how it's evolved over the years. So in the earlier presentation, I talked about amalgamation and what amalgamation meant for the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. So before amalgamation in 1996, most towns and former counties each operated our own disposal sites, which we called dumps. And everyone managed their own garbage collection schedules, and that's it. There was no other programs to worry about in waste management except for garbage. And this picture here shows you what a typical dump looked like. Each town or community determined their own disposal requirements, and they each hired their own garbage collectors. All waste produced in the home was placed in dark garbage bags, just like in this picture, and they were placed curbside on the area's designated collection day. Often there was very little restrictions in place, so it didn't matter how many bags you placed curbside, and it didn't matter the color of the bag that you used. What was ever at the curb on your area's collection day went away. So it was very common to see more than 5 bags of garbage per week at a household. The bags used for disposal could be any color. It didn't matter what you placed inside that bag, and the number of bags, of course, didn't matter. Some communities even permitted larger, bulkier items to get placed curbside on your normal collection day as well. So you can see in this picture, someone put tires out, they put a chair out, and they put other bulky materials. And that would be on their typical curbside collection day. Most communities also burnt their garbage as well, and it was called open burning. So the material was placed on top of the land and then it was burnt. So you can see the smoke was often black, sometimes it was white, and it just all got released into the air and traveled wherever that air and wind direction was going in. There was very little environmental measures in place to control leachate, the release of odors that often accompany burning garbage. Methane gas was released, and other possible chemical combinations as well, because who knew what people were throwing away in their garbage bags. This began to change in the late 90s here in Nova Scotia. The Provincial Environment Department required municipalities and towns across Nova Scotia to change our approach to the way that we were currently managing garbage. This meant major changes to the way CBRM and the rest of Nova Scotia managed garbage. Existing waste disposal systems had to be examined, and we had to implement all kinds of changes to be able to comply. CBRM Solid Waste also had to rethink the way we operated and managed our solid waste systems. So prior to 2005, we used to operate what was called an incinerator. And here's what the incinerator looked like. And this is a picture of the former Solid Waste Administration offices. It was just a little building that was located in the storage area for garbage. These changes mandated by the Provincial Environment Department led to the formation of solid waste resource management regions located right across the province. So Region 1, which is the area where I'm located out of was Cape Breton Island. Region 2 is the Eastern region. Region 3 is what we call the Northern region. Region 4 is HRM, and this is actually the capital of Nova Scotia as well, the Halifax Regional Municipality. And we have Region 5, which is in the valley. We have the South Shore, which is Region 6. And finally, the last region, which is the Western region, which is located at the other end of our beautiful province. The provincial government continues to look for solutions to divert materials from landfill. So the first thing that we did was provincial bans were established and continue to be put in place. So the province is continually looking at things to ban from landfill disposal. Stewardship agreements are also continuing to be negotiated between the Nova Scotia environment and industry, and this is also ongoing as well. And these two measures help us be able to comply with regulations and also to come up with programs that are going to help us divert and reduce the amount of materials that we're throwing away in a landfill site. So some of the provincial bans in Nova Scotia you can review on the next couple of slides, but some important ones would include the electronics recycling program, which is things like your desktops, your laptops, computer monitors. You also have microwave ovens, which is new. It just came into effect last spring. You also have ebook readers, game consoles, that would be your Game Boy systems, Xboxes. You also have your beverage container program, corrugated cardboard, leaf and yard waste is banned, automotive lead acid batteries, oil and glycol is new, glass containers, and so on. One that is coming soon, which we expect to come into play October of this year, is the plastic bag ban. The provincial bans require municipalities to divert these materials from landfill disposal. That means we're not able to accept the materials at our mixed waste transfer station, and or we're not going to be managing those materials ourselves, and they may have to get diverted to other locations. Some industries have jumped on board to help us out with this, and their support is known as product stewardship programs. Stewardship programs are an industry's way to help municipalities with the cost to manage their products in our municipal waste streams. Some of the product stewardship programs throughout Nova Scotia include electronics recycling, we have textiles, we have voluntary programs such as our Safe Sharps, medical needles, syringes, and lancets. Other programs are mandatory, which would be things like our paint program, which not only includes the actual paint itself, but also the containers the paint is placed in. We have used tires, we have used oil and glycol, we have newsprint, milk packaging, and so on. You can just review the chart to see the different types of product stewardship programs that we have to follow in Nova Scotia, and they're provincial stewardship. So not only does CBRM have to follow them, but the rest of the province does as well. So to comply with provincial bans, municipalities had to change the way we used to manage our waste. So if you can remember when we first began this presentation, it didn't matter what you placed curbside on your collection day, it went away. Now this wasn't going to happen anymore. CBRM Solid Waste had to rethink the way we operated and managed our solid waste systems. New facilities had to be built, or existing facilities were modified to accommodate the changes and updates to our waste management requirements. New programs and waste separation requirements were introduced and implemented. That means we had to start to not only collect just your basic garbage bags, but we had to introduce programs like green cart collection and blue bag programs. This was a huge, expensive undertaking for most municipal units. CBRM Solid Waste had to change to meet all of the new disposal requirements that were being put into place by the province. So we had to introduce curbside blue bag collection, which was done in 2001, 2002. We promoted backyard composting because we didn't initially introduce green cart collection program until much later in our schedule. We introduced dual stream collection vehicles. That meant that we were able to collect 2 different waste streams at the same time at households, which allowed us to be more efficient and to use less vehicles when we provided curbside collection. We established our residential hazardous waste depot, which was done in 2003. In early 2006, we had to decommission our incinerator and we had to start shipping our garbage off island to the second generation landfill site, which you learned about earlier is called Guysborough Second Generation Landfill Site. And we constructed a compost facility in 2000 and 2006, which meant that we could soon start to introduce a green cart collection program, which we introduced in 2006, 2007. In 2011, we switched from dark garbage bags to clear garbage bags. So this meant we had to change the way that we collected, managed, processed, and disposed of our waste streams. So the CBRM Solid Waste Department converted a building in Sydney Industrial Park to design the Municipal Recovery Facility, which we also refer to as the MRF, or you may hear me mentioning it as Camdon Recycling Limited. A 2-stream recycling operation was developed, which means that we separate 2 different waste streams for our blue bag program. So CBRM owns the building, however, the department contracts a company to operate the facility for us. CBRM's curbside blue bag collection program was introduced to our residential sector in early 2001. Initially, when it was first introduced, the participation was voluntary. However, as the requirements by the province became more stringent, we actually made this program mandatory for our residents. The municipality carries out blue bag collection bi-weekly, which means every second week on an area's curbside collection day. Communities are divided into white weeks or gray weeks, which tells the area when their blue bag collection is going to take place. CBRM's blue bag collection schedule is located on our website, so if you get a moment, you can go visit CBRM's website and you'll be able to see for yourselves how our collection program actually operates across our municipality. To determine which color represents your area, if you lived here in CBRM, all you would need to do was put your civic address and your street name, and it's going to pop up and tell you whether your blue bag schedule follows a white schedule or a gray schedule, and it's also going to tell you the day of the week your collection takes place. And here on this slide right here, you can find the website address that you can actually go and visit at your leisure. The solid waste department also provides and follows what's called a waste separation guide. And this helps everyone know where in the waste stream certain materials should be placed. So which bag do I put materials in? Does it belong in a bag, or do I have to dispose of it in a different way? For our blue bag program, we use what's called blue transparent bags, which means our collector should be able to see the contents of your blue bag. Recyclable material is separated into two different waste streams. We call blue bag 1, which is our containers and plastics, and your second blue bag, or blue bag 2, is going to be your paper products. And the corresponding list here will tell you examples of what is considered containers and plastics and what is considered paper products or fiber material. Residents must sort, separate, and dispose of the recyclable materials into, of course, one of two blue bags. We do not want paper products and cardboard mixed in with your containers and plastics. So you can see in this picture, we have a blue bag that's used solely for containers and plastics, and our second blue bag right here, which is used for our box board and our paper and our other fiber types of materials. You can see that they are not mixed together in one bag. And again, to reiterate, it's very important that you just have paper products, boxboard, and cardboard in one bag, and your containers, plastics, and your tin cans, and your glass jars and bottles in your second blue bag. Residents are required to separate and place paper products, boxboard, and cardboard in separate blue bags from containers and plastics. And I point that out a second time because that's probably one of the biggest errors in our recycling program, is that people still, even in 2020, don't realize that paper products must be separated from containers and plastics. The other important message that we always continue to communicate is materials placed in blue bags must be clean and contain no food residue. And of course, I'm going to say again, don't mix the materials together in the same blue bag. There is no limit to the number of blue bags that can be placed curbside on a resident's scheduled blue bag collection week. Our only requirement, besides making sure you separate and sort properly, is the contents of each bag should not exceed 25 pounds, which is approximately 12.5 kilograms. Recyclable material also must be placed in blue transparent blue bags only, and recyclables placed in clear bags or other colored bags will be tagged, and I'm going to underline tagged, and left uncollected, because we only collect the materials if they're in blue bags. Again, I emphasize use only blue bags for those of you that live here in CBRM, and make sure you keep your materials separated. And that's going to be a common theme during the remainder of this presentation. Blue bags, and keep your paper products separated from your containers and plastics. The other important message to remember is we don't like or want your materials to look like this picture here. So yes, those containers are acceptable in our program, but the issue to us is you still have your spaghetti sauce, you still have your mayonnaise, and you have hot sauce and other sauces, and even conditioner still left in these containers. So the container itself is perfectly good in our system, but we do not have the ability to rinse or clean those containers. So what happens once they arrive at our site? They're going to end up going to the garbage. And curbside, we also don't want you to cover your blue bags because the collector out collecting blue bags is just going to drive by if blue bags are covered in a blanket. They must be clearly visible curbside, or you can place them in a bin or a box, but you have to label that bin or box as blue bags. We also have a compliance program to make sure that we're not receiving materials that still have food residue or blue bags that are mixed together with the paper and containers. And if a collector notices that on collection day, those bags are going to receive one of these beautiful fluorescent green stickers, and they're going to check off whatever's wrong with the material. So if it has cardboard that wasn't placed out properly, they're going to mark off cardboard. If the contents of the bag contains needles, they're also going to check off needles. So that tag is going to communicate to the resident what is wrong with the bag. On the tag is also our phone number, and that's to encourage residents to contact us by phone if they don't understand why their material wasn't collected. If your blue bags are not collected following the end of your collection day, we also need residents to remove them. You can call us to let us know that you weren't collected, or you can simply hold on to the bags and put them out again in 2 weeks' time on your collection day. Blue bags are removed from the curb by collection staff and loaded into dual stream collection vehicles. That means the vehicle that's being used by the collector is able to separate your paper products from your containers and plastics in the vehicle. So in no way does your materials get mixed together in the vehicles used by CBRM collectors and CBRM contractors. Our collectors also have to be careful just in case there could be hidden dangers located in blue bags. And that's one of the reasons why we use transparent bags, so the collectors are able to visually inspect the bags before they remove them. The material is also processed by hand at our municipal recovery facility, so it's also important to make sure that hidden dangers don't have the chance to leave the curb and make its way to our recycling facility. So you can see, here's people. They are physically separating the materials by hand. We don't have machines. Staff who work at our recycling facility also have to be cautious and concerned about hidden dangers, because it's very easy to have these materials hide in our materials. So here's our needles right here. And even today we have needles that still show up at our sorting facility, and we do not want needles in our materials, because if the covers were not placed on the needles, we can have staff that get stuck or jabbed. Here's an example, and I have it circled in a black circle, of one of our needles that showed up in the blue bag. It wasn't caught by our collector, and this is how it was received at our site. The person that works at our site that came in contact with this can actually did get stuck with that needle. And of course, they had to go to the hospital, and now they have to go through tests every couple of months to make sure they have not been exposed to anything. The pop can with the needle sticking out was handled by the following people, because it did come in through our curbside collection program. So here's all of the different people that one needle could have impacted. The collector, who removes the material from the curb. We have the worker on the line responsible for tossing refundables down the chute to the refundable sorting area. The sorter, who is responsible for removing the refundable bottles from the container, and the person assigned to the refundable area to prepare the containers for divert. And it was this person here that got stuck with that needle. So here's some more pictures, and this just illustrates the amount of needles that we capture in our program. So we do stockpile them, and we also have to report these cases to the Department of Environment. Here's the Safe Sharps container. So Safe Sharps should not be in our curbside programs, whether it's blue bags or garbage or our green cards. We have a program here in CBRM where residents can bring free of charge their filled Safe Sharps containers to any pharmacy, not only in CBRM, but right across the province. We also do not want propane tanks showing up in our facility, because what happens is on our container side of the plant, as you're going to see, is once the materials arrive at the site, they travel up a conveyor belt, and the bags are physically opened by a bag opener. And if that bag opener was to puncture one of these tanks, it could lead to that tank exploding, and shreds of the metal and aluminum could actually shoot out and hit one of our staff people. We also don't want hazardous waste materials such as batteries or aerosol containers or oil showing up in our site. We have a program in place where residents can bring free of charge these materials to our hazardous waste depot, which is also located on this property. However, you have to bring the materials yourself to our site instead of putting them out in your curbside program. And once the blue bag collection vehicle is full, the materials are taken to CBRM's material recovery facility. And this is what one of our trucks look like here. This is a video that you can click on, and it's going to show you how blue bag collection actually takes place. So it's going to show you our dual stream vehicles. It's going to show you how the materials get loaded, and it's also going to tell you how it gets emptied once it arrives at our site. CBRM's Municipal Material Recovery, also known as Camdon Recycling Limited, is located in Sidport. The address is 345 Golf Crescent in Edwardsville, which is, again, approximately 20 to 25 minutes away from our waste management site. Our site operates Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and our facility is closed on Sundays. We do allow residents to bring their own blue bags to the site if they choose to. Sometimes people, if they miss their blue bag or if there's a storm, they don't want to hang on to the materials until their next collection day for blue bags, so they will actually come to the site and drop them off themselves. The MRF is where most of the municipal blue bag materials get dropped off for processing in CBRM by collectors, our residents, our businesses, and our commercial contractors. The MRF also processes materials from the town of Port Hawkesbury, which is a small municipality also located on Cape Breton Island, Richmond County, also located on Cape Breton Island, and we collect blue bag materials or receive blue bag materials from 3 native reservations: Eskazoni First Nations, Membertou First Nations, and just recently Potlatech First Nations. We actually started to receive blue bag material from this First Nations during the pandemic, when their facility that they used to bring their materials to had to shut down during the pandemic. And this is what Camden looks like. Here's our scale. Every vehicle, just like all of our sites, need to cross over the scale to get weighed. Here is where that information from the scale is displayed so that the person in the office can record the weight of the materials that are being brought to our site. The materials that we use in our recycling facility include forklifts, front-end loaders. We have conveyor belts. So we actually have 2 conveyor belts, one that's used for our fiber and our paper products. And we have a sort line for our fiber and our paper products. We have the container conveyor belt and the container sort line. So again, you can see that we keep the blue bags separated. We keep our paper product blue bags separated from our containers and our plastics. On the container side, here's the bag opener that I referred to earlier. And this is the machine that opens up all our containers and our plastic blue bags. So this is the only time that our staff do not physically touch the contents of the blue bags, is when those bags are getting opened. And we also have a magnet, and the magnet captures our steel and our tin that's showing up on our sort line. So our staff do not have to pull out steel cans and tin cans. Our magnet is going to do that for us. And here's a picture of a tin can that's actually getting captured by our magnet. That magnet is going to lift up the can and it's going to drop it down to our bunker, which is located on the lower level of our facility. We also have a conveyor belt that attaches to all our different bunkers. Our bunkers are what we use to keep our materials separated once your staff has sorted and separated the blue bag materials. So once a bunker is filled, whether it's aluminum or it's newsprint or it's cardboard, the front end loader is going to push it on to a conveyor belt, and that conveyor belt is going to travel, it's going to go up, and it's going to load the materials into our baler. So the material is loose when it first enters the baler in this area right here. When it comes out, it's formed into cubes or boxes that weigh over 1,000 pounds, and it's going to be baled material for whatever it is that we happen to be baling that day. In this picture, we're baling newsprint. Here's another picture of our corrugated cardboard moving up the baler. You can see it's going up. It's going to enter in this area right here. Here's a better picture of where the material gets placed. So it's loose when it's in here, and when it comes out into newsprint bales. And this is how we market and sell our materials on not only local and North American markets, but also internationally as well. So here's a picture of a newsprint bale that's getting made. So again, same procedure is followed, just like it did for cardboard. It goes up the conveyor belt, enters into our baler, and when it comes out as a bale of newsprint. So when we have enough, so we also process divert materials, and we have a tractor trailer that's owned by Divert Nova Scotia that would process our refundable materials such as your pop cans and your beer cans, your wine bottles, and your water bottles. That travels down to CBRM probably 2 to 3 times a week. And one of our stops besides Enviro Depots would be Camdon Recycling. Thank you. And that concludes our overview of recycling in CBRM. Next we're going to see how our facility actually operates. You're going to get to see through a video what happens to blue bag materials as it arrives at Camdon Recycling and gets recycled and sorted and processed and ready to ship off to our various markets.